Maharaj formally joined the temple in Tucson, Arizona, and since then he has served ISKCON in various capacities, not only in United States but across the world. Maharaj was a prolific preacher. He loved book distribution. He still loves book distribution, and he participated in the Radha Damodar party. He was also engaged in preaching Krishna consciousness in Fiji, and he was a general manager at Radha Rasbihari temple in Juhu, India. Maharaj had also acted and served as a temple president in Tokyo, Japan. And it was in the year 1982 that Maharaj took his sannyas vows. And 5 years later, in 1987, Maharaj started to serve as a GBC member for Japan. Gradually, Maharaj's GBC responsibilities expanded beyond Japan to culturally diverse places such as Thailand, Indochina, Indonesia, Greece, and West Africa. Maharaj is also a committee member of the GBC Executive Committee, ISKCON Law Committee, and Revision Committee. Maharaj has a special interest in book distribution and Harinam Sankirtan. Maharaj have a special interest in devotee care, for which he writes different articles, he participates in different conferences, and vigorously encourages others to put effort in making devotee care as a priority. As a traveling preacher and an initiating spiritual master of many disciples in his GBC regions and beyond, he naturally sees the whole world as his family. So we are very, very fortunate to have His Holiness Kavichandra Swami Maharaj amongst us, and we like to welcome Maharaj again by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. His Holiness Kavichandra Swami Maharaj ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki.
Thank you very much. Yes. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Balava Girivardhari Gopi Jana Balava Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Balava Girivardhari Gopi Jana Balava Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamunatira Panachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Balava Girivardhari Gopi Jana Balava Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Dwarka Bhaktavrinda ki jai, Shri Shri Rukmini Dwarkadesh ki jai. So we're reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 7, verse 158 to 163. Which one is on the board? 167. 163 is on the board now. Okay, I'll just read the first ones. Laksha laksha loka aise prabhu ke dekite Mahabida kaila dware nare pravashite. The crowd at the door of the residence was so great that it numbered hundreds of thousands. I'll make sure this is the right one. This is 157. Excuse me. No. Snana kodite yabe yaha ganga tire. That's the one you have? Snana kodite yabe yanha ganga tire. Tahani sakala lokahaya mahabide. Snana kodite yabe yaha ganga tire. Tahani sakala lokahaya mahabide. Any Bengalis here can sing it nice and somebody. Snana karite yaba ne ganga tire. Tahani sakala lokahaya mahabhi. Tahani sakala lokahaya mahabhide. Snana karite yabe yaha ganga tire. Tahani sakala lokahaya mahabhide. Mothers, ladies. Snana karite yabe yana ganga tire. Tahani sakala lokahaya mahabhide. Snana, bath. Karite, taking. Yabe, when. Yana, goes. Ganga, Ganges. Tire, bank. Tahani, then and there. Sakala, all. Loka, people. Haya, assembled. Mahabhide, in great crowds. Whenever Lord Chaitanya went to the bank of the Ganges to take his bath, big crowds of many hundreds of thousands of people assembled there. Okay. Well, I'll just chant, well, we can, like one time each, these. Bahu Tuli Prabhu Bole Bola Hari Hari. Hari Danva Kari Lokas Swarga Marcha Bari. Whenever the crowds were too great, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stood up, raised his hands and shouted, Hari Hari! To which the people responded, filling both the land and the sky with the vibration. Loka Nistariya Prabhu Chaite Chalite Hoila Nana. Vrindavane Patai Lila Shri Sanatana. After thus delivering the people in general, the Lord desired to leave Varanasi. After instructing Sri Sanatana Goswami, he sent him toward Vrindavan. Ratri Dvivase Lokera Shuni Kolahala. Varanasi Chadi Prabhu Aila Nila Chala. Because the city of Varanasi was always full of tumultuous crowds, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after sending Sanatana to Vrindavan, returned to Jagannath Puri. E Pancha Tattva Rupi Shri Krishna Chaitanya. That's it, 163, right? Did I skip one? 162. E Lila Kahibe Agi Vistara Kariya. Sanchepe Kailani Han Prasanga Paya. Where is that? That's Adi Lila 163. One more, right? E Pancha Tattva. E Pancha Tattva Rupe Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Krishna Nama Prema Diya Vishwa Kaila Danya. That's a nice one, huh? E Pancha Tattva Rupe Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Krishna Nama Prema Diya Vishwa Kaila Danya. So anyone else? E Pancha Tattva Rupe Vishwa Krishna Chaitanya. Krishna Nama Prema Diya Vishwa Kaila Danya. E Pancha Tattva Rupe Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Krishna Nama Prema Diya Vishwa Kaila Danya. E Pancha Tattva Rupe Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Krishna Nama Prema Diya Vishwa Kaila Danya. Ladies? E Pancha Tattva Rupe Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Krishna Nama Prema Diya Vishwa Kaila Danya. This Pancha Tattva Rupe, the Lord in His 5 forms, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Krishna Nama, the holy name of Lord Krishna, Prema, love of Krishna, Diya, delivering, Vishwa, the whole world, Kaila, made, Danya, thankful. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates of the Pancha Tattva distributed the holy name of the Lord to invoke love of God throughout the universe. And the entire universe was thankful. Purport. Here it is said that Lord Chaitanya made the earth, the entire universe, thankful to him for propagating the Sankirtan movement with his associates. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has already sanctified the entire universe by his presence 500 years ago. And therefore anyone who attempts to serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sincerely by following in his footsteps and following the instructions of the Acharyas will successfully be able to preach the holy names of Hare Krishna Mahamantra all over the universe. There are some of the foolish critics who say that Europeans and Americans cannot be offered sannyas. But here we find that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to preach the Sankirtan movement all over the universe. For preaching work, sannyasis are essential. These critics think that only Indians or Hindus should be offered sannyas to preach, but their knowledge is practically nil. Without sannyasis, the preaching work will be impeded. Therefore, under the instruction of Lord Chaitanya and with the blessings of his associates, we should be no discrimination in this matter, but people in all parts of the world should be trained to preach and given sannyas so that the cult of Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement will expand boundlessly. We do not care about the criticism of fools. We shall go on with our work and simply depend on the blessings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates, the Pancha Tattva. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschachade Satarane Vanchakalpa Turubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaha. There was a time when the sannyasis, the first sannyasis were all Americans, and they thought Indians couldn't be sannyasis. These things are going on, but we've proved, it's been proven Gopal Krishnaraj was one of the first Indian sannyasi. Did such amazing things because of being fully dedicated to the Prabhupada's instructions. So this chapter is a very special chapter. When Prabhupada, he was, I guess, translating Chaitanya Charitamrita a little bit, for a long time, but he didn't really focus on it until like 1974. But even when I joined in 71, there was a little book, Lord Chaitanya and 5 Features, and that was this chapter. Because Prabhupada had noted this chapter is so important, so he asked the BBT to print this chapter. It's a little paperback book. Urmila Mataji said she got that when she was in high school or something, and she read it over and over and over again. And then when she was in the temple a little bit later, she got into a discussion with some Mayavadi Indian guy and completely bewildered him. But she said everything was from this chapter. And he said, "You're the most intelligent person I ever met," because she was just quoting what she memorized. She's very smart, So, and she just handed it down. So right in the 4th verse of this chapter is a very nice verse. Pancha tattva avatirna chaitanya rasange. It's easy. Number 4, verse 4. Pancha tattva avatirna chaitanya rasange. Pancha tattva lana karena Sankirtana range. Pancha tattva avatirna chaitanya rasange. Pancha tattva lana karena sankirtana range. These 5 tattvas incarnate with Lord Chaitanya, and thus the Lord executes his Sankirtan movement with great pleasure. Sankirtana range. So it's very important. In this chapter is where we hear the Harinama eva kevalam, kalona steva gatiranyuta. Are you broadcasting this by any chance? Huh? Can somebody tell me the link? Can you send me the link? Yeah. The Sankirtan movement is still going on and not being criticized so much anymore. But Prabhupada, he took it, but in this chapter, then this is where Lord Chaitanya preaches to the Mayavadis, Prakasananda, and defeats them. He was in Varanasi for some time, and he thought, I have to take nobody wants this Krishna Prema, to take it back home. But then, after he instructed Sanatana Goswami, and it's in other chapters, but he explained the Atmarama verse in 61 different ways. And when the chief disciple of Prakasananda heard that, he was also equally learned. He just went wild and was convinced that Lord Chaitanya is Krishna and told everybody about it. And they asked Lord Chaitanya to repeat it again the next day, so I guess he did. And then the whole of Varanasi would come to see Lord Chaitanya, and he'd just say, Hari Hari, chant Hari, chant, chant, chant. Because that's the conclusion of all the philosophy, everything. But so there were just two devotees there in Varanasi at the time, Tapan Mishra and Chandra Shekhar. Lord Chaitanya had met Tapan Mishra, who was a Brahmana when he traveled in East Bengal. And he wanted to go with Lord Chaitanya. He'd give up everything, and Lord Chaitanya said no. He said, go to Varanasi. And he couldn't understand why. He said, And so they had to stay there for some time, and they were very unhappy because nobody ever chanted Hare Krishna, nobody talked about Krishna. Everything is just these dry philosophy. But then Lord Chaitanya came and stayed in Chandrasekhar's house and took prasadam at Tapan Mishra because he was Brahmana. And then Sanatana Goswami came, and Lord Chaitanya gave the Sanatana Siksha, which is a major part of the Madhya Lila, 3 or 4 chapters. So we're very blessed. But the final verse is quite a nice purport. So that we stress this Pancha Tattva. Also in this chapter, there's, we should chant the whole Pancha Tattva mantra. Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasudeva Gaur Bhakta. Prabhupada stresses it very strongly in the beginning of this chapter. Before chanting Hare Krishna, we should chant Nitai Gaur, but how to chant Nitai Gaur is Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasudeva Gaur Bhakta Vrinda, Panchatatmakam Krishna Bhakta Rupa, Surupakam Bhaktavataram. So you have the Bhakta Rupa, the form of bhakti. Who's that? Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Then Bhakta Rupa, who's that? The form of bhakti. Who is it? Huh? No, his first is Lord Chaitanya, then Nityananda, Bhakta Rupa, then Bhakta Avatar. Who? Who? I was just at Rohini, but we're always chanting, those names. Then Panchatatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Surupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam. Then you have the energy, Radharani, Gadadhar. And then the leader of all the Vaishnavas, Srivas, Narada Muni. So it's a very powerful group. And Prabhupada, made that the central altar for the TOVP, the big temple in Mayapur. When they first discussed it, the devotees said, well, the center will be Radha Madhava, right? Prabhupada said, no. First there'll be the Parampara, because by the mercy of the Parampara we get the Panchatattva, and then by the mercy of the Panchatattva we get Radha Madhava. We have to bow down in order. So Panchatattva, it's all the different energies, but the Lord Chaitanya in 5 features is the chapter title. And that was the name of that little book Prabhupada made. So I recommend studying this chapter. Some of it is quite heavy or thick or whatever you'd say philosophy when he's defeating the Mayavadis, because it's Prakasananda, he said, you know, you're a sannyasi, why are you dancing and chanting with a bunch of fools, babukas? Why aren't you studying Vedanta? Because they thought sannyasi means you just sit down all day and you study Vedanta. But they don't know what is Vedanta. Vedanta is, Krishna says, what does he say? Chapter 15:15. Huh? Vedanta vid Vedikit eva chaham. I'm the compiler of the Vedantas. By the Vedas I am to be known, etc. So he's giving us, you know, what it's all about, but they don't understand that. They just are proud of knowing a bunch of slokas and being bewildered by Shankaracharyas. So Lord Chaitanya completely dismantled Shankaracharya's confusing explanations of the Vedanta, and then they were all amazed, and they all agreed they'd never heard such explanations. But first he told them, you know, my guru told me you're a fool and you can't study Vedanta. You just chant. And that's why I'm just chanting all the time. But of course he had studied, but he knew he's Krishna himself, but he was showing that simply by chanting and dancing, even though those people think they're fools. So I guess you've gone through the chapter, but over a long time. So the Chandrasekhar and Tapan Mishra, they were very pained because everywhere they went, they would hear people criticizing the Lord. You know, that this sannyasi, he's just dancing and chanting like fools. So they were just going to Lord Chaitanya and crying and saying, you have to do something about this, we can't tolerate. But at that same time, a Brahmana came, and he was inviting Lord Chaitanya. He said, I know you never associate with these Mayavadis, and you never eat with anyone else, but I'm inviting all the sannyasis of Benares, as they called it then, Varanasi, and I want you to come. So he agreed. And then he went, and he, by humility, you know, he charmed this Prakasananda. Because Lord, they had the foot washing place outside, so he sat down there. But then he exhibited his effulgence, like atom bomb. Like when they tested the atom bomb, the inventor of it quoted Bhagavad Gita and said it's like thousands of suns all at once, and that's how Lord Chaitanya's effulgence was. So they saw and thought, please come forward. Come sit in the front. So that's his humble approach. If he would have come and said, I'm God and let me speak, they would have said, get out of here. There's no incarnation in this age. There's Tri Yuga avatars, and they would have beaten him with sticks. He did the same thing with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, unconscious, right? How more humble can you be? Right? Completely unconscious, and Sarvabhauma felt compassion to take care of him, and took him home and was, taking care of him. And that way he became, enamored, and then he would listen when Lord Chaitanya preached. So then he preached, and it's very extensive throughout this chapter, how Shankaracharya can't be blamed because he was doing what the Lord told him to do. The Mayavadis really didn't like that idea. They said this Nimai is saying that Shankaracharya was ordered by Krishna to do this. And they can't understand that. But he's Lord Shiva, so he's the only one that could do it, to cover over Krishna from the Vedanta. Because the Vedanta is codes. What do they call them? Sutras or something? It's very hard to understand. It's like in the military, they have codes, right? So when they send messages, it's just blah, 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 but then if you have the machine to translate it. There's a story from history. In the World War II, the Germans invented this code-breaking machine. So when they were sending warships out from America, they would send message to somebody, and the Germans would capture every code and sink all the ships. So the Americans were didn't know what to do. Then there's one Indian tribe called Navajo. They had a other name previously, but their language is a very difficult language. So some of the soldiers were from that tribe, and they said, we'll send the messages in our language. Nobody will know what's going on. So that way they were able to get their ships to the right place. So the Vedanta, the sutras are very short, a couple words. And then they can be interpreted in so many ways. The Bhagavatam is the real explanation, and you can't really dismantle. Shankaracharya didn't try to impersonalize the Bhagavatam. He didn't touch it. It is too solid. But the Vedanta Sutra, it requires a great intelligence to understand, and from these very few words to know what it's all about. And so that's why we have the Srimad Bhagavatam, and that's why Lord Chaitanya preached Srimad Bhagavatam, the spotless Purana. Nothing about, any kind of material gain or any kind of endeavor for sense gratification. Only Dharma projita kaitavotra nirmat saranam satam. Simply throws out all materially motivated religion. Nadanam najanam nasundarim kavitam va jagadish kamaye mama janmani janmaneshware bhavatad bhakti ahoy tikitoy. So that not everybody, wants that. I see many advertisements for getting rich, for getting everything you want, manifesting wealth. Nothing about getting peace of mind or getting love for Godhead. But somehow or other devotees are managing, by the book distribution, by temples in India. They're bewildered there. I was in Rohini. They said so many people are coming already. They can hardly handle it. 13,000 people come on Sunday, and that's just a very beginning. Here will be more, maybe. But, when they started a temple in Juhu, nobody except Prabhupada thought this would be a good place for a temple. They went along with Prabhupada, they were surrendered, but nobody agreed. Because they said this is too far away and nobody will come here. Now that Juhu's kind of the middle of Bombay, and 10,000 people come every day, at least. I think more now. Somehow after the lockdown and the so-called pandemic and everything, many more people coming to the temple. It woke up a lot of people. All our temples crowded, even middle of the morning. So we have to all become preachers and leaders and, take up the mission, try to follow the footsteps of His Divine Grace Gopal Krishna Goswami. Last night they had another memorial. They have another big one today in Juhu. All over the world, devotees are becoming very happy just to hear the glories of Gopal Krishna Goswami. And we can see the glories, by all the temples in Delhi, because it wasn't always like that. And there wasn't always very many devotees. In India, temple buildings really attract people. Some other countries, it doesn't work that way. They think we want to be spiritual but not religious. A big building means religion. And people don't want anything to do with it in America, so the young people. Because there's been so much corruption in the institutions. But the first time I saw Radha Parthasarthi was in this very small house in Lajpat Nagar. I don't know if that house is still there. None of you would want to have your family live there, even too small. And even when they got the land and they had a temporary temple in Sant Nagar, very few people were coming. Sunday was a big crowd, Janmashtami, of course. But as soon as this big temple opened, too many. So we need more and more temples. We need small temples, big temples. We need preachers. A temple without preachers doesn't have much value. Everybody has to be able to, distribute a book and answer questions when people ask questions. You have to know what's in the book. So we saw the last instructions from Gopal Krishna, very wonderful. Read the books every day, follow all the principles, and carry on. Keep going. This is a huge project. I was shocked at the size of the building in Rohini. This one I think is even bigger, right? Huh? Temple room is the same. The building, the whole area is bigger. So it's a great challenge to keep it up and be able to give these people that come that there'll always be kirtan, there'll always be first-class prasadam, there'll always be devotees to preach, seminars, courses like they have in established temples. And this is, the whole purpose of Prabhupada's mission, the whole purpose of Lord Chaitanya. The Prabhupada took it up perfectly, and Gopal Krishna Goswami especially took up Prabhupada's mission selflessly. To see his will, he had nothing except the watch Prabhupada gave him and his deities. Most people get a Rolex watch to show off that, although it's not the most expensive of watches. At the time that he got that watch, Indian people were much more looking for a Seiko watch. They didn't know what a Rolex watch was. They wanted Seiko watch, Japanese. But Prabhupada had many watches, he told me, Gopal said. And Prabhupada said, just take one. So he took that one. It was a good choice because that one never wore out, Any other watch wouldn't have lasted. But the Rolex watch still going. So Krishna's mercy. That was his only attachment. Because it's Prabhupada, it came from Prabhupada. It wasn't for any kind of prestige, just to remember Prabhupada. So we're supposed to stop very strictly 15 minutes for class, 15 minutes for questions and answers. Answers and questions. So anybody have, otherwise this seat will self-destruct. It'll drop through the floor or something. Any questions, comments, realizations? We recommend everybody read this chapter again and again. Read the whole Chaitanya Charitamrita again and again, but this chapter is like really important. to help understand everything else. Pancha Tattva Avatirne. Sankirtana Range. They perform the Sankirtan with great pleasure. Okay, question?
Hare Krishna. Maharaj, thank you for the divine lecture and your presence. Maharaj, the question is that you were telling that Lord Chaitanya did his Sankirtan pastimes with all the Panchtat. And Maharaj, you still dance in the Kirtans with so much enthusiasm that we can't dance actually. You always dance in Mayapur, we see, and for a long time, even we get exhausted. So Maharaj, how to maintain that enthusiasm, energy, and we can't dance even. So please let us know the secret, how to be always so
How
much.
to. Chant your rounds, chant your rounds. One of my godbrothers, he was a tremendous fan of the Beatles before he joined. And then he Krishnized all the Beatles songs. So one was, when I get in Maya and I am falling down, I say to Maya, I want to chant my round. I want to chant. All right. Mother Mary comes to me. No, Prabhupada comes to me, speaking words of wisdom. Chant your rounds, chant your... That's how. Chant your rounds, follow the regulated principles. And then, you know, and everybody that's accomplished anything in the mature world, you don't wait till you feel like chanting. You chant every day, right? You read the book every day, even though we might not feel great enthusiasm. Big athletes, like one famous boxing champion, the most famous one, he said, I hated training. You know, it's really hellish with these boxers. I don't know, it's 24 hours a day. And, you know, running, and somebody chasing him with a car and beating him up all day and just fighting, you know. He said, but I knew that I could be the champion, so I did it. So some days we don't like chanting, some days we don't like reading, we don't like serving devotees, but you do it anyway, and then everything will come as a result. Just do it. It's a very famous slogan and very intelligent, just do it. When you decide, okay, I'll do it. Everything may look like impossible today, but we'll just do it anyway. Just keep chanting, and everything comes. And associate with people who are, you know, we have those two verses in the Shikshamrita, you know, the Upadeshamrita, you know, associate with devotees and give up the association of non-devotees. Lord Chaitanya said that. Asat Sangataga Vaishnavachar. Give up the association of the temporary things and the non-devotees and perform Vaishnava activities. Hare Krishna, go on Sankirtan. Go on the heart, join the kirtans. Come to Mangalarti, clean the temple, chop vegetables, do something, you know, something you can concentrate on that is being offered to Krishna. All right? We got a few more minutes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Maharaji. As you have traveled across the world and served multiple countries, right?
You've got to speak
So,
a little slowly and clearly.
as you have served many countries and traveled across the world, so can you please share one or two experience with us?
Of what?
Can you please share your experience?
What experience?
So, as you have traveled, right, associating with the bhakts,
I can't catch the, you know, there's a lot of noise and I have bad ears. kind of mumbling.
The experience
You have to enunciate every syllable very clearly.
Maharaji, he's asking your experience while traveling to different countries, your preaching experience.
Well, there's so much acceptance, rejection. What is preaching? We're just trying to somehow get people interested in Krishna. So I guess most of the preaching I did was trying to distribute books. And we see that, it's up to Krishna, whatever we do. Sometimes we preach, we say the same thing, nobody cares. Another time we say very little and people get all excited about it. It's up to Krishna. Some places we make a temple, immediately it fills up. And other places, no matter what we do, nobody cares. But it's when we want to really feel connected to the Parampara and Prabhupada is when we do what they did, and we try to give it one way, but there's many ways to preach. Example is most important. Everybody knows that, I'm sure your mother taught you that, right? Your example is more important. So nowadays we have such, in India now the government leader is, like in America, the government leaders are so corrupt, and people like that. They like when they have corrupt priests, because then they think I can be corrupt also. It's okay. Just give some donation. The corrupt priest says, you give a donation, everything's all right, right? That was how the Protestant movement started. It's not a new thing, but if you know the history of Christianity, there was only the one church, the Roman Catholic, and they were very powerful. They controlled the kings, everything, and they become very corrupt. And the priests were selling indulgences. You want to get drunk, you give the priest, a certain amount of money. He says, okay, I'll pray for you, it's all right. So this Martin Luther, he didn't like that. So he rebelled and he started the Protestant, which is protesting. That's what it means. But then they got more, everything, it just keeps going on and on. So we don't want that. It's that sahajya. We just want the real thing. So we give people the real thing, Nadanam Nadanam Sundarim. Just chant Hare Krishna. Surrender everything, just chant. It's the first thing Lord Chaitanya taught everywhere he went. Just chant. Then we'll feel very happy, and somebody will chant, and we'll try to get them to carry on and keep doing it. So we're trying in different places. Sometimes we get little results, sometimes we get a lot. All right? Sometimes we get opposition, very heavy, but that's actually good. We had a lot of problem like that in Bali, Indonesia, but the devotees were afraid, I kept telling them how Prabhupada, they showed Prabhupada an article once, a very nasty article against Hare Krishna. So he counted how many times it said Hare Krishna. He said, this is very good. It said Hare Krishna 25 times. And he said, what's the circulation of this newspaper? They said something like 3 million, or I don't know. And he said, that's 25 times 3 million. That's so many Hare Krishnas. This is wonderful. we had people, using the social media to blaspheme. I told the devotees, you should thank those people, say thank you, you're really helping us. No, they were afraid. And then the people themselves, they stopped saying Hare Krishna. I guess they felt like they kept chanting it. It's like the Muslims, they told the Qazi, we have to work with these Hindus, and they're named Rama and Krishna and Gopal, and we don't want to, but we have to say these Hindu names, and we don't like it. So they stopped saying Hare Krishna. He's made up some other words. So if there's opposition, if we're just preaching properly, then that's good. If we're stealing and cheating and insulting other religions, then the opposition is bona fide. We shouldn't. All right. So it's 59, 12. Countdown. Anyway, it's Sunday. You probably don't mind if you go over. Any other genuine questions? Jagannath Swami ki jai. Very beautiful altar. When is your temple predicted to?
Another year or so.
Pretty fast.
Yeah.
Be before the TOBP or after?
You never know.
Don't worry, I went in a cathedral in America, very beautiful cathedral, an old one, and it's all marble. 3 generations, 100 years building, because they didn't have machines and everything. Didn't have cement and steel. But many of the old, in Europe, there's so many beautiful churches. They're all like that. They all took 100 years or more to build. But they're still standing after 600-700 years also. So, but here we have the Kali Yuga mercy, and we have all this, internet, and we can broadcast, and have ways to build things very fast. If China starts building big temples, they build them overnight. Big, huge apartment buildings. They don't build it; they build all the pieces first, and then magically just. But India now is catching up also, now with all these metro and so much. So please read the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Now the Bhadra campaign is starting again, the Srimad Bhagavatam set. One devotee in America, he set a new record, his own record, sold 5,000 some books in one day, including 55 Bhagavatam sets. And that was in some parking lot of a shopping mall. So, nothing is impossible. He was selling many, and he said, some people criticize you're only selling them to Indians. So he started trying to go where there's no Indians. And these people are buying also $300. It used to be, if we could get $5 from somebody, it was big. So India, of course, is unlimited. And with so many people coming to temple, I saw in Radha Parthasarthi, everywhere I looked was a book table. Everywhere I turned around, another book table. So they're selling, and also the new bhaktas all walking around with books. So this is by the influence of Gopal Krishna Goswami, by far the leader of book distribution in the history of ISKCON. Because even now, something like 70% of the books in the world are sold in India. I don't know the figures, but most of those are sold in Delhi, in Juhu, Mayapur, right? A few temples in Delhi, and then in Juhu, and then Mayapur. But Mayapur is also under his. Well, they had previous, but and Russia. Russia is also very next biggest, after India. And that's all by Gopal Krishna Maharaj's humility, unassuming, simple Vaishnava, but so much power, inconceivable, and so respected by so-called big men of the world, of India. They announced, like, within 10 minutes, 3 hours of his departure, they had letters from, Mr. Modi and the President of India and several chief ministers and the chief of all Sri Sampradaya also. He sent a very glorifying letter, which is interesting because we do have devotees who claim the Sri Sampradaya is completely disagreeing with ISKCON, but actually they're very friendly, more than the Madhva Sampradaya. They're very respectful. But his letter was so much glorifying Gopal Krishna Goswami. And the one from Modi was like unbelievable. You can find it, and somebody was reading it last night at the glorification, and didn't know who it was from. They thought it was from some ISKCON sannyasi or something. And it was from Modi. And they were like close friends, Jai. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai.
Jai.
Shri Dwarka Dham ki jai.
Jai.
Dwarka.
His Holiness Kavichandra Swami Maharaj ki.
I was in. I was in New Dwarka for a few years. That's Los Angeles in America. And Rukmini Dwarkadesha there also. Okay. Thank you very much. Have a nice Sunday. How many people come here also?
Yes. We are very thankful to Maharaj that he shared some time with us, enlightening us and requesting all the devotees assembled here to read Chaitanya Charitamrita, specifically the 7th chapter of Adi Lila. We are thankful to Maharaj. We'll share our gratitude to Maharaj by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. His Holiness Kavichandra Swami Maharaj ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Okay, thank you very much.